Political relations between the superpowers are very shaky. A new war could break out every day. Meanwhile, a wealthy family is celebrating a child's birthday. A man asks Cooper to show his famous thumb, but Cooper refuses. His daughter wonders why he didn't show his thumb. Cooper tells her that when he was in the army, they were taught to lift their thumb to see how far away a nuclear explosion was. Just as suddenly a bomb goes off in the city, the girl holds out her finger and realizes there is nowhere to run. Cooper is frozen with fear, but manages to cover his daughter. Panic begins. Everyone tries to get as far away from the nuclear explosion as possible. But there are new explosions. After a while, the inhabitant of the 33 bunker named Lucy helps the bunker to survive. She has many useful skills ranging from repair skills, teacher, swordsman, and average physical fitness. In her personal time, she likes to help her father, who is the caretaker of the shelter. However, she has not been able to settle down in her personal life, so she asks for a transfer to Asylum 32, which happens every 3 years. The bunker council accepts her request. After a while, Lucy puts on a new dress, and the family takes her to the entrance of the bunker. Her brother Norman hints that her husband could be anyone, in case he's a cannibal. Bunker 33 and 32 are connected by a single airlock. They are greeted by Lima, the caretaker of Bunker 32. Lucy is itinerant about who she will marry, and out of the crowd comes Monty. The wedding will take place in Bunker 33. Norman says the radiation levels will soon become livable, but after 200 years, they don't know much about what's going on upstairs. Taking the opportunity, Norman decides to inspect Shelter 32 and notices the fields completely destroyed. He doesn't understand how the humans survived back then. Going into the next room, he finds their food. After some fun, Lucy hears gunshots. She points the scanner at Lim and realizes he came from the surface. A fight breaks out. A raider stabs her with a knife, but Lucy still manages to emerge victorious. She injects herself with a stimulant and goes out into the corridor. In the armory, she finds one gun that shoots tranquilizers. The raiders kill most of the residents, but Norman is still alive. Lucy covers for her brother, and they are attacked by a surviving raider. Her father attacks from behind and kills the raider. The raiders capture several survivors. Their head is named Moldover, calls the occupants of the bunker the product of one of fate's convoluted twists. She gives the caretaker a choice of his people or his daughter. The caretaker chooses the daughter. Raider knocks out the caretaker and calls Lucy, very much like her mother. Then he leaves and blows up the passage to Bunker 32. On the surface, Maximus is beaten by soldiers. They are members of a group called the Brotherhood of Steel. Their duty is to protect the wastelands. One day, the recruits will search all over the country for military equipment. Anyone who doesn't learn well gets hit with a stick, since the Guardians are very important to the prosperity of the Brotherhood of Steel. Suddenly, an airship flies through the sky. The Guardians run to see the battle dirigible. They are wearing T-60 armor. Maximus doesn't understand why they flew in. A little later, Maximus and his girlfriend clean up the hangar. Maximus remembers the day he was rescued by a Brotherhood of Steel soldier. Several of the recruits are promoted to Knights of Atutes. Among them is his girlfriend. Maximus is furious that he won't be promoted. The next day, the girl wakes up with a torn leg. Blades have been planted in her shoe. Maximus becomes the main suspect. He denies everything. A soldier comes up behind him and orders him to tell the truth. Maximus admits that he wished to harm her, but did not do so. He is willing to do anything for the Brotherhood, even give his life. The man likes that answer and names Maximus the new squire. A little while later, he returns to his friend and asks who could have done it, but she doesn't know. Maximus is initiated and branded. The man announces that a resident of Analcav has escaped and is in possession of an item with extremely high potential. Each knight will search a portion of the area. The sketchbook identifies the right man and his partner. Maximus takes the sack with all the useful items and runs after his paladin. In the wasteland, Honcho approaches the grave where the ghoul was buried. His name is Cooper. Honcho asks him to find a resident of the Enclave. Cooper accepts the assignment and kills the men. In the Enclave, the scientists are doing all possible experiments. The escaped man's partner is called CX-404. Vilzig has been training 404's stamina and teaching her different commands since she was a child. He once injected himself with a glowing chip, but all this research was illegal. Another scientist pushed Vilzig, and 404 ran to help. Alarms went off all over the Enclave. Turrets rose from the ground, but none of the bullets hit the duo. The bunker survivors decide to use the raiders as compost. Lucy suggests forming a search party and finding the bunker's caretaker. The elders think it's too dangerous, but here's Norman and Chad ready to help her. Chad doesn't want Lucy to die, so he goes along with her. This forces Lucy to knock him out and go outside the bunker alone. She sees the ruined Los Angeles before her eyes. Later, she finds broken military robots, and in the homes of people unlucky enough to be in the bunker. Late at night, Vilzig shows up with 404. He explains that people shouldn't light a fire after sundown, or she'll be attacked by mutants. The people here are an endangered species. Rules and laws don't work in this world, which is why she needs to go back to the asylum. But Lucy won't leave without her father. Having finished talking, Vilzig leaves. The next day, the Paladin orders the glider to land. He is bored and wants to hunt. They find the camp where their target was, but their reasoning is interrupted by a growl coming from the cave. The Paladin orders Maximus to see who is hiding there. Suddenly, the Paladin is attacked by a Yao guy. He breaks his weapon, and the Paladin tries to escape. Maximus doesn't understand why the Paladin is acting this way, but still helps the Paladin. However, he accuses Maximus of not acting and says that when they return, he will be executed. Maximus is sure that the man is not worthy of the armor and will just wait until he dies. An hour later, Maximus tries on his new armor and runs off to find his target. He really likes the power the armor gives him. With just one kick, an entire backyard collapses. Around the corner, he notices a fight and orders the man released. Lucy finds the survivor and shares water with him, but in the space of a couple sips, he completely drinks the bottle. The man says there is a town called Philly, just over the hill. People are killed there all the time. He even offers Lucy to stay and live in his house, but she politely declines and leaves. As she approaches the town, she meets many people. Cooper notices a bunker dweller. Lucy has to go to a store that sells Voltag items. The clerk is amazed to see a living resident of the asylum. When she hears the name of the person she is looking for, she asks her to leave the store. After leaving the store, she meets Vilzig again. He tells her about the bunker where she grew up. Lucy doesn't understand how she knows this, but their conversation is interrupted by Cooper, who yells that there's a big reward for this man. And to keep him from running away, he shoots him in the leg and kills all the armed men in town. 404 tries to help, but Cooper hurts her. Lucy thinks about running away, but seeing the puppet changes her mind. However, the tranquilizer is unable to put the gully to sleep. Maximus interrupts their fight and covers Lucy from the bullet. He asks to save Vilzig while he deals with the Ghoul. Cooper can't penetrate the armor, which Maximus takes advantage of and hits Cooper. But the armor is too heavy, causing his leg to clog. Cooper breaks the suit and Maximus flies away. When things calm down, Cooper treats the dog. Vilgis gets his new leg. She also reveals that Moldaver was the one who asked for Vilgis to be brought to her. It is 35 kilometers to the delivery point, but Vilzig has no strength to walk as he has drunk the poison. Vilzig himself is of no use to Moldaver. She needs what's hidden in his head. Before the war, Cooper worked as an actor. His wife Barb also worked on the set. In the evening, Lucy puts a tracker in his head in case the head is stolen. Periodically, the Paladins have to contact command. Maximus pretends to be a knight and says his squire is dead, but he doesn't need a new squire. There's a small part missing to fix the suit. He goes back to town and fixes the part, but when he returns, his suit has been surrounded by raiders. A fight breaks out between them. After enduring a few blows, he arms himself with a wrench and a toilet seat. The raiders weren't very smart and pushed Maximus into the suit themselves, which he took advantage of. A rotorcraft flies through the sky in search of the Paladin. and the delivery of the new squire. Maximus hides in his armor so he won't be recognized. The elder cleric limits that whoever finds the target first will take over the entire wasteland. Later, Lucy reaches the flooded city. A gulper attacks the girl and steals her head. Lucy is about to go into the water, but is caught by Cooper. She explains that she lost her head. Cooper gets the idea to use Lucy as bait. A huge gulp jumps to the surface. 404 bites his paw, and the monster jumps into the water. The altercation causes Cooper's medicine to break down. He ties up the girl and walks away with her, leaving the dog behind. Lucy is extremely thirsty, but Cooper is not about to share the water. When he sees Walt Boy, he shoots up a commercial, all because Cooper is Walt Boy. Walt Tag used him to shoot commercials and popularize Walt Boy. Cooper was the one who came up with the idea of showing the thumb. They come to another ghoul named Raj. He slowly turns into a wild gull and asks to be given a vial of medicine. It helps the geese not to go crazy. Cooper is one of the oldest ghouls in the world who manages to keep himself under control. And so that Rog doesn't suffer, he kills him. Hours later, Lucy forgets the rules and drinks radioactive water. Cooper begins to cough and the girl tries to escape. But the path is blocked by a huge hole from the nuclear explosion. Cooper catches her. Lucy bites off his finger. And as punishment, Cooper takes one of her fingers too. He wants to trade Lucy for 2 months' worth of vials. And as soon as she enters the store, he passes out. Lucy meets Mark IV. The robot gives her a new finger. Mark IV says he can take her organs now. The robot asks her to hold still or it might hurt. Lucy lashes out and knocks the robot out. Lucy orders all the ghouls to be released, but a few of them have already gone wild. The monsters kill the store owners. Another ghoul can't fight the feral anymore and attacks Lucy as well, which causes her to pull the trigger. Outside, Lucy gives Cooper the vials of medicine and goes off to find the head. Cooper takes all the capsules and watches old movies as he plays them. Maximus tells him that he met a ghoul but let it go. Squire assumes it's a plan to track the residual radiation trail where they will find this ghoul. In Bunker 33, the residents want to teach the captured raider science and principles of morality. Norman doesn't see the point. They killed their friends, which means the raiders need to be killed too. The elders and the new caretaker do not accept his proposal. Their conversation is interrupted by a man. He says the water chip is broken. The shelter has water left for 2 months, not counting the prisoners. Before leaving, Stephanie says she supports Norman. The raider says that when they got to Sanctuary 32, those people were no longer innocent residents. Norman wants to know what happened at Asylum 32, but access is denied. Norman suggests Chad dig up the rubble and explore the asylum. Now Chad learns about the destroyed food supply. And it happened a long time ago. The last biosignal was spotted 2 years ago. They realize the raiders didn't kill them. Norman accesses the caretaker's computer. Turns out Norman's mother opened the door to the bunker from the outside. The residents were trying to get into the 31 shelters and wrote that they know what's inside. Norman researches the archives and notices that only former residents of Asylum 31 have been made new caretakers, which makes him begin to suspect that Betty is from 31 asylums as well. She wants to separate the survivors and rebuild 32 Asylum. During that night, all the corpses have disappeared and the asylum looks completely normal. The partners arrive at the lake, and they are attacked by Gulper. Maximus asks Squire to run to the shore, from where he can take aimed fire. The monster doesn't like this and catches Squire, but Maximus manages to rescue Squire, and together with him, they find a head and a dog. In the evening, Squire asks to be branded. Maximus even admits that the real paladin is dead. Tadeus will not hide this secret from the Brotherhood and cuts off the power to the armor. This is how Maximus stands until the wee hours of the morning when Lucy finds him. She becomes ill due to radiation sickness. Maximus offers to take his anti-Raiden. Lucy wonders if the fraternity still has T-60s and real weapons. She offers to use the tracker and find the head, to then give it to the Brotherhood, and in gratitude they will have to give 5 paladins to search for her father. Maximus accepts the offer. A little later, they stumble upon two survivors. Lucy sincerely believes that if everyone puts their hands up, no one will shoot each other. But the raiders were too eager for prey. Maximus snatches Lucy's gun and kills the raiders. Maximus is wounded, but he asks not to worry. They then reach a town where 30,000 people have been living since the war. Lucy doesn't understand why the asylum has always prepared them for the rebirth of humanity. Maximus asks not to think about it. This city was also destroyed. But Maximus managed to survive that day and was taken by a paladin. Maximus is getting worse by the minute. Lucy has to take a chance and goes into the Voltac hospital. Maximus follows her, but falls into a trap and is knocked out. When the duo wakes up, they realize what they find in the asylum. Cooper was showing for the world to see what the asylums would look like. Settlement 4 will begin in peacetime to see how people can change in a confined space. Everyone will also be able to buy a place in the asylum. It was in Sanctuary 4 that Maximus and Lucy found themselves. Their men have found the armor and will soon bring it to the asylum. When the duo is left alone, Lucy offers to have a little fun, but Maximus refuses, as the fraternities of Steel must keep their cool. In Asylum 4, there are people who have come from the surface. Maximus thinks it's a cult, but their conversation is interrupted by the local caretaker. He asks them not to go down to level 12. As Lucy takes a closer look, she notices that the other residents have strange mutations. When they meet in person, she asks the caretaker what exactly is on level 12. But he asks her not to talk about it. Maximus plans to steal the power unit and insert it into his armor, but he is stopped by a woman. She gives him a Pip-Boy and takes him to a new apartment. There, a few welcome gifts and a hot shower await him. Googling around the asylum, Lucy notices the flag of the new California Republic. At night, the asylum had a special ritual and their chief god, Moldaver. Lucy asks Maximus to run away from here, but he doesn't want to say goodbye to a comfortable life, and then Lucy has to go down to level 12. It houses various mutants and remnants from past experiments. Here, local scientists create hybrids of humans and mutants. An alarm goes off and Lucy is caught. They turn on a recording for her that started the development of the hybrids. The hybrids were less docile than they expected, so they ate them all. The creature in the video was the caretaker's uncle, but the past residents rebelled against the scientists and took over the sanctuary. They ask what experiment was going on in the 33rd Asylum. However, Lucy says that there were no experiments. Maximus sees Lucy being taken somewhere and goes to help. Her punishment is to leave the asylum. She will also receive 2 weeks' supplies. However, Maximus didn't know that Lucy wasn't in harm's way. He took the energy block and repaired the armor. Maximus starts to crash the shelter, but Lucy asks him to stop. Once on the surface, Lucy convinces Maximus to return the nuclear block so the asylum can live. When Cooper comes to, he is confronted by men who have declared themselves the new government. In the past, Cooper meets with his friend. He insinuates that the Voltec don't want peace talks. Why else would they be selling the safe house? But Cooper still has a chance to find out what his wife is really up to. During dinner, Barbara says that now their daughter won't be able to take the dog to the shelter because of the new rules. Cooper wants to understand exactly who is writing the new rules and why no one is being told about them. An argument starts between them. Barbara says that Det worked to get her family into a special shelter. From there, they will watch over and run all the other sanctuaries. Cooper is taken to Soral. He's now the local president. Cooper asks who Moldaver is. Soral calls her very dangerous. After finishing the conversation, Cooper destroys the bandits and asks how he got this image of Moldaver. He saw her before the war. She was starting her own cult. Cooper doesn't want to listen to her nonsense and wants to leave, but Moldaver stops him. She knows his wife's secrets. Her science company was bought by Barbara's division. They were developing cold nuclear fusion, but Voltac shut down a business that could prevent war. Only Cooper can help bring back the research. All he has to do is plant a bug on his wife. When he gets home, he uploads the bug to Peep-Boy. Tomorrow, the heads of every company in America are meeting. Rumors of peace talks have reduced sales a bit. Westac wonders what will happen if some of the people survive and hunt the asylum's inhabitants. Voltec doesn't see that as a problem. After all, they have the most important weapon on their side: time. They just need to outlive all the humans. Their conversation is being watched by a secret identity. On the wasteland, people in NKR armor collecting scrap metal. It was Cooper who came to them. They've been at odds with each other before, But today he wants information, where Moldaver is. Guy has to tell him where she's hiding and tries to grab the rifle, forcing Cooper to shoot. Squire gets tired of the dog and locks it in a crate. A little later, a survivor comes out at him. He asks for his leg to be healed in exchange for a nuclear block. After drinking the serum, the leg miraculously regenerates. And before leaving, the man says that Squire doesn't have to worry about radiation anymore. One day, all the raiders in Shelter 33 are dead, and Betty turns on the repopulation dispatch. Each resident gets a number for the shelter where they will now live. Chad and his wife ended up in Shelter 32. Not everyone likes the reassignment, but they don't get a chance to argue. Norman hacks into the caretaker's computer and sends a message to the caretaker of 31 shelters. He asks if Betty has been uncovered. Norman writes that the mission is not going according to plan, and the caretaker asks to return to 31. As they approach the airlock, the door opens and Norman enters the shelter. Cooper finds 404. A short time later, Maximus and Lucy find Squire. They offer to talk, but Squire gets a trap in his neck. He survives though. Squire realizes that he has been made into a ghoul. Just as suddenly, the screw wings appear in the sky. Squall gives his head and escapes. Maximus takes out another head, kisses Lucy, and asks her to fulfill her mission. During this time, the Brotherhood of Steel has taken over the town of Philly. The head doesn't like that Maximus betrayed the Brotherhood and is sentenced to death. His girlfriend asks to give Maximus a chance to find the relic. At the one-on-one meeting, the chapter tells him that the artifact will help create a new brotherhood and no one will be able to oppose them. Lucy arrives at the observatory where humans live side by side with the ghoulies. Her father is still alive. Lucy gives up her head. Moldaver wants to tell the truth that Lucy and her family were not born in the asylum. The entire asylum is 31 large cryopods. There's a Voltec staff waiting to take over. It was Bud who came up with the idea of the 3 consolidated asylums. There are over 100 sanctuaries scattered across America. Each corporation will be given a portion of the sanctuaries, where they can conduct experiments. The best sanctuaries will become the new world. Brain tells us that each person was selected specifically for the gene pool, with the perfect department to recruit and create super managers. It was these asylums that were to become the new inhabitants of the planet. The corporations proposed intend to overpopulate the asylums. Westtech wants to create super soldiers using illegal aliens. Robco realizes that there is huge money to be made at the end of the world, but how Hypothesis can give them money. Barb knows how to solve the problem. Drop the bomb themselves. Cooper is stunned by what he hears, especially when the other corporations approve. Lucy's father is a real lucky man. He's been alive for a very long time. His wife didn't know he was living at the time the end of the world began. Lucy's mother realized one day that there were people on the surface, and when she told this to her husband, he said she was crazy and asked her not to tell anyone. This forced the girl to run away and took her children with her. After a while, she found this town where 30,000 people lived. But when her husband came after her, he took the children and destroyed the city. That's how Voltec deals with the competition. The capsule contains cold fusion with infinite energy. Now they will build a new world. Her father asks her not to believe her. The only thing Lucy wants to know is what happened to her mother. It turns out this ghoul is her mother. Lucy asks her father to tell her the code. After pondering his life, he activates the beginning of the fusion. Norman wants to return to his bunker, but his brain won't let him go. The other inhabitants cannot know the truth, but Norman can lie down in the capsule and sleep. Taking up arms, the army of the Brotherhood of Steel goes on the attack. NKR notices the Brotherhood army approaching. The defenses are activated. The pilots dodge the missiles. One rotorcraft is hit. Paladins return fire. The NKR soldiers try to fight back, but they stand little chance against the Paladins. Maximus covers his comrades. After a couple minutes, they make their way to the headquarters and destroy everyone in their path. But it's Cooper who comes up against them. Being an ex-military man who wore similar armor, he knows about the critical flaw, so he kills the Paladin with a single shot. He turns off the lights and uses his vision in the dark to kill everyone. Maximus finds Lucy. She tells him that it was her father who destroyed the city. But while they were talking, a man puts on armor and knocks Maximus out. Cooper shows up and offers to get another autograph. Cooper wants to know where his family is. The man smiles and runs away. Many warriors died that day, all because war never changes. When Maximus came to his senses, Lucy was gone, and the fusion capsule started powering all the electronics in the neighborhood. Before she died, Moldaver asked Maximus to stop the Brotherhood from destroying the world. The series ends with a scene of Frank arriving in New Vegas. Write in the comments how you rate the series. We'd love your likes. We'll see you soon. Bye.